Later on in this episode, this entrance gets a bit of a sprucing and a spice up to make things interesting for our guests coming in. Hiya Borkers, I'm Jalen Fulf, and welcome back to Planet Coaster. Last time we were here, we finally completed some other rides which may or may not include one of our final, well, near final, coaster designs. And it was a big one at best. You can see the overlooking the entire park as it stands. It is full. It is legit full. But we're not done. Before I get started, though, I'm surprised about this little particular location. Why do I even have a second entrance over here? Like, the heck? Why do I even have this entrance? I mean, that could be an option, but at the same time, I need to get rid of that danged old entrance. What the heck is going on here? Ah, park entrance gate. Which one do I remove? Because I have two of them. It just feels very weird to have two in one. But you can also see that there are several guests leaving the park simply because of... Well, remember in the last episode as well that we did also try to lower the maximum amount of guests per park. Excuse me, the maximum amount of guests in this park to at least really get something going here. But now comes my other big problem, is how? How do I get rid of this? Oh, I think I know what to do here. I surprise the guests by first doing that, and then what I can do is go like this. No, not like that. Go like this. But here, to make things a little bit more interesting, can I go... There we go. That's what we want to do. Just get the guests out like that, and we'll be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Basically, the coding just says, oh, you just have two park entrances. Maybe one of them should count. And that's what I've seen a lot with many of the workshop parks that I've been seeing on this particular location forever. It's just that. It's just that. But now that that's out of the way and over with, and we can easily say that we have ourselves a good park entrance to, well, with just a single gate. I'd like to first go into the park for a second and have a look at my rides, because I feel like there's some things off about it. For example, if we go all the way over to this side of the park, well, here's one Weisshorn ride. You know those little things that have the caterpillar-like cover to make you spin around in that little tube? That's also what the Monteleon's like, except that one doesn't have the cover on the building as like the Weisshorn does. Now, the only issue that I had with this one is if I go all the way back here to this side of the park, you can see that I have yet another Weisshorn all the way over here. I find this one in particular to be more fitting than the other one. Now, if you'll excuse me, I can go all the way back over here to this particular Weisshorn and tell you guys that we have some good news in relation to this, because when I was reviewing this, I did a poll on my Twitter. I said, oh, I have two Weisshorn rides in my park. I only want one of them, but the other one is not fitting. Please help me pick a ride to replace it with. And you guys delivered. I'll go ahead and close this ride just to get the peeps off, or at least just open and close to force them off. And then just demolish it as it is. It wouldn't be too bad without anything else. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, the ride that you guys chose is one of the thrill rides because every single one of those rides on the pole was a thrill ride. And you guys chose the Iron Claw. You guys chose an Iron Claw ride to replace this whole thing. I was so confused about this one in particular. It's a swinging ride, although I do not recall how it works. So here, let me place the entrance and exit for yous, and we'll go with it. Hey, at least it connects it automatically. I like that. I like that plan. I definitely like that plan. Well, not the well, I was gonna say almost not the exit, but for some odd reason, the exit now connects. Perfect. So that saves us a lot of time. But now I need to see how this works. Let me pop a test on this baby and see how it works. Well, first the floor needs to be lowered to make sure that the thing can swing freely. And then it starts doing its swinging action. Slow at first, but then picking up the pace. Of course, with that arm in the middle, it's obviously going to do some spinning action at some point too. So once it gets to a point, then at some point you can start to see, well, not yet right now, but is it supposed to spin, or I know there's a lot of rides similar to this that do have spinning action on it, but is there something off about this one that I'm not seeing here? Oh no, now it's starting to spin. Yes, that's what we want to see here. But at the same time, it also creates some good news too, because in the middle of the swing over here, you can also see that it clears the monorail, but there's a good thing I have the original entrance and exit the way they are, because the swing itself actually clears those two as well. So that's some good news on the replacement for the Weisshorn. You guys actually chose a very good ride for this coaster. I mean, I was watching that poll. It was a heavy race between this and Swift Drifters. I will put the Swift Drifters somewhere in the park along with the other rides, because I still do want to place those rides as well in this park. It's just, we've got to search out the other flat rides in this park as well to see what fits and what doesn't. But in the meantime, now that I know this works, I'll go ahead and open this baby up and see how this works. Anywho, with that out of the way now, I'd also like to have a look-see at some other rides to go with that. For example, if we go all the way over here to the Carnival section, this first instance, there's the Magic Underground right here. I'm going to get rid of this building, and I have a good reason why, because if we go underneath, demolish this baby, and we go underneath, this entire ride, I just can't find anything to really fit, because at some point during this park build, I definitely want to add scenery to most if not all of my rides, and sadly I cannot think of anything to fit inside that underground that would actually make sense here. So needless to say, it's unfortunate that we have to get rid of a tracked ride, but luckily we already have a tracked ride in our area as well. And this would make sense in the long run, too. So, that can be easily demolished. It can be easily demolished, but I'm also going to go ahead and replace the paths here as well, because there's some other stuff that I want to add in here, too. So let me go ahead and yoink the paths. I'll go ahead and yoink the paths. Excuse me, yoink the ride first, but then yoink the paths. Because once we get rid of it, well, first off, get rid of that. And then let's get rid of the queue path. I'm going to replace it with an entirely new queue path, mostly because of things. So that takes care of that. But at the same time, you know how we also had the kink over here, mostly because I had this here from the Witch's Haunt, like when it used to be over here? That's kind of a disappointment in itself, and at the same time, I kind of regret having this here, mostly because of those reasons. I would love to go ahead and make some replacements here, but at the same time, things just have to be the way they are now, can it? So that makes, what part was it that I built that? What part was it that I built that? It was in the teens, I know that. Teens or 20s. But definitely that makes that part of the build useless now, because because this has to be a casualty for what we're about to do next. And I necessarily do not have any ideas in relation to scenery for it. Because like I said, I want to add scenery to my rides to increase prestige. Because I know you've seen it in previous episodes where my prestige on my rides is severely low, and I haven't had to add any scenery at all during this session. Especially with path scenery, which is basically the next part of this build as it is. So I'm gonna let these guests clear out. And with these last guests making their clean out, getting them all the way out that way, I can safely say that we're done here. Now all that's left is to fill up the terrain. But with what? That's simple. That's an easy task. All I can do now is just flatten the foundation. But I have to be careful not to touch Cascade, because it's relatively nearby. So all I can really do here is just close up the holes, close up the mountain over here, because ultimately that space could be used for a lot of other rides. And notice, those other rides in that poll that I did, I could also add them here too. We'll have to see how that fares as we go. But for the meantime, this is all you get, folks. Also, what the hell is up with this? I mean, that is meant to be a path to bypass, but at the same time, why do I even need that anyway? It's not like we're using it for anything else. So I can just put that there, let the guests do their thing, and then just rebuild the terrain over here. And there you go. Easy peasy. So there's no point in having that anyway. I mean, if you did want that back, then that would have been a good chance. I mean, I could definitely do just that. Besides, this needs some level of diversion as it is anyway, right? This can definitely be a completely new bypass path for whatever you guys need to use it for. It really works out, doesn't it? At the same time, I could also do the same thing over here with this bypass path, but at the same time, you definitely need something to get over to the Cascade ride as it is anyway, right? Now, when I talk about prestige for my rides, I'm going to go into my attractions and shops real quick and then sort by this prestige. Notice how some of these rides are basically 1-star prestige, and then if you go all the way up to the stuff I grabbed from the workshop mostly, or particularly some pre-made rides, those are all 5-star prestige, and I can't get to that point. I cannot get to that level without adding scenery here anyways. So I'm going to dedicate a huge section at the end of this series to increasing prestige of all my rides to a certain level. Probably 3 or 4 stars, and see how I do with that. But anyway, as far as things are concerned, I have some other ideas in relation to this. For example, I'm going to go back into Jungle Falls. Remember I built this as well back in the day? I once said to the creator of this particular workshop item that I would have to delete the pirate-themed rides, mainly because it didn't necessarily fit the jungle theme. However, I also soon realized that that's kind of a necessity here. But at the same time, I have some other ideas for the lake that could be really useful here, so what's the point about even having it here anyway? I'm going to go ahead and close it up. Close up shop. And just move this baby over. But this also means getting rid of some of these paths over here, because we're gonna need that space later for some other path work. But in the meantime, let's just see what we have. Get rid of this queue path while I'm here. I am not getting used to this mouse, aren't I? For those of you that don't know, or I'm pretty sure I haven't told you this, but let me pause real quick to avoid to avoid... let me pause to avoid scrolling. But I bought myself a new Razer Basilisk mouse, and surprisingly enough, the scroll wheel on this thing is very sensitive. I cannot get used to this for the life of me. Tell me how you guys actually get used to this. Please, if you have something like that, then please feel free to share how you guys get used to it. But we're not going to add any trees here. I have a good reason for that, and that's going to be what's coming up later. But for now, I still want Pirate Cove in my excuse me, I still want Pirate Cove in my park. So what I can do is go into water rides, go into Carnival Log Flume, right here, and in the place of where the Magic Underground once stood, we can now relocate the entire Log Flume over here. But that also comes at a natural cost, as I got to get rid of all these trees. In fact, some of them are even actually still hanging above the ground as a means of as a really sucky consequence of as one of those really sucky consequences of the terrain and terraforming. I can easily just replace any if need be. But for now, though, just gotta restore all this. So this means that, yes, I do have to restore all the pirate-themed stuff. But that also means, for our guests, a shorter queue connection. And restoration of the original park entrance. Not park entrance, but entrance and exit for the ride, if you think about it. Short as it may be, you got something for the carnival. Now, the next question. What about all the other stuff in that same area? For instance, I do have to move that high spin to make way for... I do have to move that high spin out of the way to make room for what's going to be there, because I have some plans for that. But it comes at a cost too. This Manic Mouse over here, this spinning wild mouse, this was a very shitty thing for me to make. And given that I didn't know all the big features of the actual ride itself, there was no point in me keeping it, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this bad boy and just see how that fares. But in the meantime, but of course, that doesn't mean I can't really leave our guests empty-handed like that. I gotta give them something that they really want. So that gives me a reminder of how much room do I have in the carnival section, and is that carnival section filled up just with that Pirate Cove? And the answer is yes. But what I can do is I can go in here. I did download more workshop content in relation to Wild Mouse. So if I go into search and type Wild, I have this Wild Mouse over here with minimal scenery, which also means I can open up the opportunity to add more scenery later if I need to. For example, like a station house or something. It could be a leadway into the carnival section, but what if, by chance, I could try something else? I mean, you never know with this stuff, right? So anyway, with the entrance and exit already in place, I'll go ahead and add my queue and exit. Just get those out of the way. And of course, to come at the cost of the loss of the fancy stuff over here, I'll go ahead and add the fancy queue path like this. I'm sure with adding the queue, like the queue prestige stuff, then we'll be sure to work it out. And by queue prestige stuff, I mean like queue TVs, scenery around the queue path, etc. So it'll all work. But that also comes at the cost of me having to bring these up to testing speed, which means testing Pirates Cove again, and going in now here to test Wild Mouse. Let me just make sure that music is okay. No music. Good. So let's go ahead and test this baby out and see how better it is compared to the spinning Wild Mouse that I had not too long ago. All right, so here it comes. Oh boy. And if you notice that slight dip in the... And if you notice the slight dip in the track as you see it there, if you notice that slight dip, that's what I was missing when I was building my spinning wild mouse from before. I was missing those particular building pieces when I was building that. This person actually added them in. Or rather, they were already in the spinning wild mouse, and I just didn't know. Although I only knew of the tight hairpin that normally comes with any wild mouse. So it's my fault for really just creating a sucky coaster as it is. I mean, whatever I'm keeping in this park, I'm keeping as a big good amount for my success anyways, but yeah, it should work. It should still work. Now, at least it's really entertaining for a wild mouse given. Especially with the unusual, well, I can't really call it... I mean, not really calling it unusual here, but what it is a very good impression of what I could potentially utilize this with. Or rather, the diagonal... I was talking about the diagonal track. I thought that, given RCT3 rules, that diagonal track would not even be a thing. I was wrong. Actual coasters like this do actually have a diagonal track, and that's a benefit. I don't know why they didn't include it in any of the Wild Mouse coasters in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but it works here. I mean, given the style of how the coasters are built, it kind of makes sense too, but at the same time, you know, that. Which I believe may leave some room for another particular ride later down the line. You probably guess what it is? That'll come in the next part, but for now, let's see what I can also get rid of. First off, this lake over here, we have a huge amount of work to do. Particularly with Armada here. Particularly with the Armada. I do need to relocate or remove this Armada entirely, because this is still a shitty ride as it is. Even if I've attempted once, I've attempted twice, and I still can't come up with anything. I did, however, look up at the workshop, and I eventually found that the workshop does indeed contain a lot of good rides. In particular, the Armada ride. When I did look this up, I just went, oh, Armada, and that's the name I chose. And lo and behold, I did find something that'll be worth all the effort. However, funny story about this one in question, when I tested it in an empty park off camera, I found that the coaster itself, I found that the particular blueprint itself also contained a little extra bit of scenery a good distance away from the actual ride itself. So when I went in and said, oh, I need to use this, I also went ahead and deleted all the extra scenery and just saved the what is it? I went ahead and saved the ride to my own files without the extra scenery, but with the extra scenery and all that other stuff. Do you want to guess what it is? Oh, shit. Shit. My guests aren't having a good time today, aren't they? Can I not? I may have to rebuild this. Like that, and then the same thing here. There we go. But then what about you guys? I'll have to move you into the actual path itself. If they can let me, thank you. I may have butchered this a little bit, but I'm sure it'll come in handy. Again, like before, I'm going to have to redo all the terrain here. But that does not mean the removal of the lake, because I have other plans for the lake. You shall see. Friends, you shall see how this will work. You shall see how this will all work and all blend in well. Don't you worry. But how do I get this out of the way? Simple. High spin. You are actually going to close up again. Test close, open close. And I have good reason for it too. And that will be that I demolish this. That I completely replace the path entirely here. And we move the high spin all the way onto this part of the pathway. Provided it actually fits with the path that I have over here anyways. I have plans for this path. We shall see. We shall see. You know, I always wondered what happens to guests when a path disappears in front of them and they just disappear right in front of my face. I wonder what even happens to them. Do they just get lost into the data abyss forever and not come back? And their data is still counted in my amount of guests? Or is it just they get sent to the nearest path randomly? I can never understand this game sometimes. Anyway, for coasters, let me go out of here and take care of spin. We had high spin as our ride. But at the same time, we may have a problem here. For you see, it's gone underground. And that was the original problem I had with this ride, was that it went entirely underground. But the other problem that I have, you can clearly see it here, is it's running into some... Whoa. Can I even build it? I can still build it here. Perfect spot. Perfect spot. I have no other reason to have this here, other than just to have it right here. Perfect. So entrance over here, exit over here. And then we'll start building the path. Make this one simple again, because, you know, stuff. But then I also realize that we are so close to the edge of this area over here that all I can really do is just complete the path here. Easy peasy. Same thing over here. We build the... Go over here to the exit path. Get this down, down, not down. And then let's go this way again. And then down again, down again, down. And then not that way, because it's out of the way. I'm gonna go the other way then, if that's the case. We'll go down here. Not there, but here. Now we go down. There we go. And now you can just do that. See? What trouble could I easily get out of this? I don't know. What would you think? But there's another plausible thing I could put here. There's another really plausible thing I could put here. And that's why I got rid of the Armada. Because, like I said, I got a Armada ride off of the Steam Workshop called Temple Adventure. I don't know if the person intended to have that scenery in there, but when it was originally downloaded, when I originally downloaded it, the ride from off of the Steam Workshop, this scenery was added on with some other scenery that was in the distance and not on the ground. So what did I do? I just went into that, I just built it all in an empty park, deleted the scenery, and was left with this. This jungle-themed mess. I can't call it a mess, really, it's just that. So now, I gotta be careful here because there's a hide me text and a see me text. This is meant to be placed on flat ground. Which I can actually go ahead and fix this terrain now to make this work. Alright, back to the coaster. So, actually not coaster, I want this. Temple Adventure. Yes, it will require me to go in and adjust the path here. Or at least turn it in such a way that it will need to do this. Like this, or that. Where am I going to place it such that it can actually work? Like it was working there. Don't see why it's not working now. I mean, is it in the way of high spin? Okay, it's there now. But I think we can do the easy way of just doing the hide me, see me aspect. And the intent of those I'm well aware of this, but the intent of those little extra scenery bits is to actually place the ride on flat ground. The right way. I'm definitely not going to have enough room for what I want to do now. We'll have to see. But for now, I can now go in here and remove these two. Because they're not needed anymore. Although now the beauty of this comes with the setup here, because if you look at this very carefully here, connect entrance to path, if you look at this very carefully here, the designer of this ride actually set up the walls and everything for me for the queue path. Because now I can ultimately do this. Make it look like it's like that. Here, I'm going to observe this from the side. So it can make it look like a ramp going up to the ride, and then on the exit side, when we do that after, you're going to see the exact same thing. It's the exit taking the same possible approach. So, it's just that simple. And God, I do wish that was at this level, but apparently, as it turns out, carrying over from Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 sometimes doesn't add up. I mean, here, another example of a game that I've tried recently was No Limits 2, which is another roller coaster building game. It's not a theme park sim, it's more of a coaster builder. So ultimately, my thought process going into that was, oh, I want this for VR experiences. I want a coaster ride experience specifically designed for VR headsets. I tried putting it in the VR, and I find out it needs a controller. So since then, I've been going in and just going into the presets and just riding those instead of off VR, instead of like on desktop, like the desktop experience, instead of just the VR experience. Because, well, I gotta wait for a new headset. Really, I dislike Oculus, especially with the move to Facebook. I'm sure you guys will understand why. But by the way, guys, all the workshop maps that you have seen in this particular part, especially with the 3 that you are about to see me build, or especially with all of those that you're seeing me build today, or rebuild, those will all be provided in the description. The links to those are provided in the description. So if you guys want your own versions of these, and want them for yourself, then that's a good opportunity for you. Oh. I has a solution for this. I can just go ahead and do that. Because I can just remap the path to whatever I want. It still works the same way, right? I mean, you obviously saw it when I did the, you obviously seen me do it with the, whole log flume path on the, if you looked at it very carefully on the original log flume in the Pirate Cove. I had Boomboat plus Pirate's Cove, and then that ultimately happened. Boomboat just felt like a boring-ass thing that just was like, sure, I can try something like that, maybe not. But of course, I had some better options. Now, given that this is an entirely new ride, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a wild test on this guy. I am going to name this Temple Adventure as well, only because this is off of a workshop ride and does not need to be changed. But again, I can also add this to the naming after my furry friends segment if I need to. I mean, if I really do want to, but sadly the theming is already right here anyways. Alright, so going into our first little chain lift here, and this is what surprised me about the Armada ride itself, is that the Armada ride, if you look at this railing very carefully, that's the railing the boat is actually being powered with. And that actually surprised me really about the Armada ride itself, because once you get over here, you saw this with my original Armada ride, second attempt, that the coaster stops there, and then all of a sudden, woo, and a splash. So you can see there that there was another little bit of a trigger point in the scenery, because ultimately, if you looked at it very carefully, that was a geyser effect that upon this boat actually stopping. Yeah, I do want to add some trigger points at some point during my series. You saw them very carefully when I was doing when I was putting in what is it, Jungle Road. When I added Jungle Road to this park all the way back when I was starting out the jungle section, then you clearly saw me reacting to the trigger points. And I didn't even know those were trigger points. So there you go. Just another blind Falfy experience for you. But I also like, if you looked at it very carefully, did you notice the lighting changed when we went into the tunnel? I was very surprised when the lighting actually did that. It's the first time I actually rode this on RideCam. But yeah, that's actually a thing. This isn't the last of the chain lifts, is it? It's probably not the last of it, because there's still... The station's really high up anyways. Also, yes, there was an intent to have what is it? There was an intent to have the lighting do that. I'm surprised the devs actually implemented that. And I'm very glad they did. But anyway, we are nearing the end of the ride. I can go ahead and just cancel early, just peace out early. Go do a little old yeet. and then see the test, because I know this coaster and this particular Armada itself already is going to have some good ratings based on the fact that it's a water ride and it's going at that speed in the first place. There's no really intense moments in here, because all I can really do now is just watch and see. Perfect ratings. I don't have any problem with it. So open, and the actual name, Temple Adventure, is going to stick. I'm at the 43-minute mark, but as far as recording is, I'm at the 43-minute mark, but that timer down there is going to be different. I'm almost done with this anyways, but I still got a lot more to work with. And one of the big ones that I'm looking at over here, I have another water ride that I want to add as well. And relatedly, I have a river rapids over here that I don't know what I want to do with it in relation to scenery. I mean, I have a big section over there that could really use some work. But at the same time, too, notice as well, I have some water triggers on this particular ride called Through the Jungle. Technically, this could also be placed on water, if you think about it. This ride could also be placed on water. And when I went back into my track rides again, I also have a ride called Jungle Drift, which is another River Rapids ride that actually fits the jungle theme. So we have 2 River Rapids rides now in our park. Think about it, 2 log flume rides, 2 hybrid coasters, now 2 River Rapids. This is going to be intense. This is going to be really amazing. But first, I need to get rid of Through the Jungle and its scenery and relocate that to the lake, which I may have to resize to fit. So let me go ahead and get rid of it. Close, test close, open close. And for me to make this work, I have to be extra careful with what scenery I get rid of. So the whole ride's demolished. This thing can easily just go in here and be all like, you can just go away here. You can be all like, you can go. This whole section here can be like, well, not that. You can go. You're gone. I mean, I can keep some of the stuff. It's just, when I do all of this, it's just, I've got a lot of shit to worry about. But you're gone. Then I go in here and be all like, sure, you guys can go too. And then to round it all out, I have this and be like, bye, see you later. And similarly here, we take this, go bye, take this, yeet. And then over here too, yeet. Now that was the deletion of Through the Jungle, but that's not why I want to get rid of it. I'm going to go back into my track rides again, add Jungle Drift. I gotta remember where the entrance and exit for this thing is, because this is really harsh on itself. Actually, it's super easy, because then I can ultimately do this, have it turn such a way that it can still fit. Excuse. Thought it was working before. Like that would work. And then just move it all the way over here. Oh, see how there's a... Okay, now I got something to work with, but I need to be careful here, especially with my friggin' scroll wheel, goddammit. I mean, I can always relocate the monorail to make this work, given how close it is to this particular ride itself. And not to mention as well the... Yeah, let me just go ahead and make some zoomies. Block on ground. You probably want the block here. The first sign of it is like... There. No. There. To finish it off, I can now get rid of this. And then get rid of this. Those were guides to help me out here. Finally, when I look into this, I'd be like, wait. How in the heck? Oh, I think I know what to do. Because I can go in here, get rid of this oak tree. Get rid of all these other oak trees. And then get rid of all these other oak trees. These were all left over from through the jungle, I'm well aware of this. The Brazil nut tree. Get rid of the acacia. And then get rid of all of this stuff. That was all left over from through the jungle. And maybe some other of the leftover stuff has also been implemented in here as well, beyond my belief. But I can easily get rid of that just as easy if I can just get rid of my path over here. So like demolish, demolish, demolish. And then just do all of this, be very careful and very fragile with it. Although the trees are right there, it's not really a good point to just have that there anyways. Wait a minute. Is that queue path still there? I thought so. Have it under the trees and you're like, damn, really? And then similarly over here with this path. I want to get rid of that as well. Because that's not fitting anymore. And I've got more scenery to get rid of. Lots more to get rid of. But some good news on top of that, I can also... Let's be very careful here, because I don't want to... There. Much better. But what, you know what is good? I can go back in here and start moving some trees around. On top of getting rid of this scenery over here, because I placed this river rapids extremely far from the rest of the jungle area. And that needs some really good work. So if I selected these acacia trees and started moving them... Oh, more scenery to get rid of. I can just do this, and then control-click all the acacia trees just to keep those intact. There we go. Now I can go in and move these bad boys to wherever they are. But at the same time, too, I'm going to go in and move them again to these areas. And a good reason why is, well, that space. We're going to need some space for the entrance and exit. You've got 2 spaces for entrance and exit, and obvious spaces at best, too. First, entrance is automatically on the left. Exit, automatically on the right. And then, obvious entrance places. But then what about the acacia trees around it? What do I do with those? You may be asking. Well, I have some ideas for that. Well, good news on that. I can just connect it that way. Misclicks. They get you every time, don't they? Oh, I was using natural path for the jungle area, wasn't I? Like this. I like how the natural path just makes its own little bridge like that. Kind of fitting for the area, don't you guys think? But instead of swerving out like the queue path there did, I'm going to go ahead and do something unique to this path. And go like this. There we go. That's something I want to do. So that takes care of them apples. I'm going to go ahead and start building some more acacia trees, just to get this jungle area themed a little bit better. So let's see, nature, trees, acacia tree 1. We also have acacia tree 2 and acacia tree 3. Let me get the smaller trees some love here too. And start building around those. Because, you know, the jungle area needs a lot of love from the acacia department. I mean, these may not be the best fitting trees for the area, but still, you guys get the drift. And then over here, we can put some smaller acacia trees over here, just to spruce things up here. Isn't it like thick jungle and not just forest area? And then round it out with the bigger acacia trees that I was starting with in the beginning of this jungle area as well. I mean, it's a start, but it's worth the effort of just adding the queue prestige to the queue path. Now, I'm going to pop a test on this baby, but I do not like the ride view for the river rapids. particularly the seat view. So, do I want to test with that? I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. I did say I didn't like it, but you'll see why in a minute. Anyway, onward. Can start to see that the rapids are actually coming into full focus, and eventually you'll start to see some waterfalls. This is the level of coaster building that I wish I still had. Needless to say, scenery is one of, if not any, of my worst aspects of any building game. I dislike putting scenery up. If anything, the best I can do is just have some help with it, or try and relearn it myself. Which, spoilers, that's gonna happen in a couple of parts from now. You may have noticed a waterfall there. Or maybe I'm just imagining things. Then again, this particular boat does spin. Oh, it didn't land on the track. Alright, do we have a drop to worry about here? I'm pretty sure that we're gonna have a drop here. Oh no, another rise. We're definitely gonna have a drop at some point. I'm well aware of that. But that's the beauty of it is, well, even though you can still see a little bit of the park from one angle of the ride, it still kind of has that jungle aspect. What can you do to block off that area? I don't know about that. That's one thing that baffles me is, how can you still make a coaster work, yet in some areas you can still see some of the rest of the park? It's beyond me. But again, an all-natural, all-outside area, you're gonna have to see that. And now we get to a point where the waterfall starts spilling out onto the track and making our guests sweat. Which is the big aspect of what I was looking for in a river rapids. I didn't expect this particular ride itself to actually force you to add your own waterfall scenery to it. Oh, and look at that! You see some mushroom lamps all the way over there. How fitting! Oh wait, unless that was part of the previous coaster that was here? I can never tell. Then again, it's hard for me to remember some of this stuff. And I do believe that we are approaching the end of this ride, so if it looks like it, well, not, then we'll have to have a good look at the drop, back up the conveyor, and then we'll be in the station. As far as things look here. Whoa! I mean, it's not the big drop, but still worth something in the end. admittedly as well, the music really does have an added effect to the, added effect to some of the ratings here, too. It really just adds on a good feel a little bit, don't you guys think? Have you guys looked into this ride and was like, yeah, this is good. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this baby up. Jungle Drift is a go. And that's that particular area. Now, we've been left with an empty lake. But my question stands, can we still fit the coaster that we just deleted in this area? The coaster being Through the Jungle. And the answer is... well, nearly. I did have to cheat a little bit to get this to work. But like I said, that also means doing some terraforming. And some terraforming we shall do. But at the same time, I've also opted to... if it works, I have to get rid of these acacia trees back here. These may not be very viable for what I'm about to do. Which means an open lake. But open lake also meaning the lake is now expanding to a certain point. It's probably not the expansion I was looking for, but again, adjustments can be made. And like I said, all the rides that you see here, all of the workshop rides that you see, they can all be located down in the description. The Steam Workshop particulars. Now, I'm so confuzzled about how this is even working. I have the see me, hide me text. Okay, I just spotted, there. I got it. I got it. I got it! Nearly got it! Come on! You can see it right there! Editing jail, you can just zoom in and see it! Come on! Stop! Stop! There! Never mind. That was a fail. I'm gonna have to do this again. I'm gonna do this completely again. Come on, fam. I had this working before. At least now that works. Don't fuck this up. Okay. Luckily, the intent of don't hide me when it comes to water is just oddly amusing to me. I don't see, at my level, I don't see why you would have some of this stuff in the first place. It just is an odd feeling to think about if you... yeah. Think about it very carefully. Then again, like I said, you have some spots in water. What do you expect? An island? Now, what lake features need some removal? This part over here I'm well aware of. I can definitely just cut this part of it. But then how bad does this get? Can get rid of this side. Can then get rid of this area over here. And then get rid of this part of the lake over here. Who knows, I might have plans for this side of the park. We'll have to see when we get there. But my question oddly becomes, some of these trees may have to be removed. Some of these trees may oddly have to be removed to make some sacrifice for this to work, especially with the entrance and exit over here. So let me go ahead and start connecting these babies up. Now my question is that level with the path that I want? Well, sort of. Because all I can really do is just that, and then this to finish it off. Similarly with the exit path. I can just do this. Or maybe I can just do this. And have the same way that way. Or even better, that's supposed to be... Even better, that's supposed to be natural path. Like this level of natural path. Because it's a jungle theme after all. What do you expect? Your standard path over a natural path? Come on, fam. Well, intersecting terrain's gonna fuck with us. I'm gonna have to rise the rails a little bit. There we go. Did I say rise the rails? I meant to say rise the path. I'm a derp. If this was a Twitch stream, I would say exclamation derp at JalenFolf in chat, but no. It's not working here. It doesn't work that way. So, that absolutely takes care of most of what I want to do in terms of rides. Let me go ahead and test this baby. You guys have seen this coaster before, so I'll just test it as is. Back to Pirate Cove now, because that test is actually complete. I'll go ahead and close this baby up now, and then open it as is. Let me just make sure that the test over here... Oh, we got that going good. We got that going good. And now while that's happening, I have another ride to take care of. Recall all the way back, either in part 1 or 2, when I built this wooden coaster. Imagine your thoughts when I was building it. And now imagine these guests' thoughts as they're about to take the first curve. How bad is that curve right there? Take a wild guess. How bad's that curve? Yeah, I don't like that curve. I absolutely do not like that curve. Furthermore, it's very minimal in terms of its elements. So I'm going to go ahead and close, test, close, open, close to force guests onto the exit path, because I have better plans. You see this wooden coaster right here? Bye-bye! I'll go ahead and fix up the terrain real quick just to spruce things up here. And off camera, I went ahead and built another wooden coaster. Intentionally named for this purpose. It's called Let's Play Zephyrus. Recall that the wooden coaster I built was originally called the Monster, with its six peeps per car type situation. Now flash forward to this, and we still have something similar with a Zephyrus. But now we have something else added to it. Can you guess what it is? It's sort of the same... Well, you can tell it's sort of the same, a very similar, if you look at it very carefully, it is... I didn't want to do that. But you can tell it's a very similar styled, like, coaster. It's just designed differently. I am going to restore the priority path. That's a given. I'm going to restore the priority path. Because you know we don't like not seeing that in most of our rides. For those of you that were here for when I actually implemented a priority pass system. Well then, that's a surprise. And now these guests can't even get back on the path. Solved. Even better, I can just do that, and then instead of 33 feet, what was it originally, 26? No, it was smaller than that, 23. Like that size. There we go. Like that. Easy peasy. So now comes the biggin. Oh! Would you look at that? Now that's a good way to have a path, isn't it? So here, for the wooden coaster, we're not going to add... Well then, actually, no, it's going to be a popular ride as it stands anyway, so what's the point about having that when I can just do that, followed by this? Not that, but have that there, and then this there, because now I need room for the priority pass. And then with all this stuff added in, I've got some extra benefits to go with it too. Look at that. But then comes the other added bonus. We add... Wait, where did I... No. Control Z that. Because then what I'm going to do, operations, enable priority pass, place entrance, which will be over this way, but I'm going to have to be extra careful with it too because it's designed in such a way that I can actually make the queue path around it square, but square just doesn't seem to want to make it work over here. I mean, that could work, but then the exit path. This is an easy exit. So now connect the queue. Easy peasy, I make it different. Oh no, not that way, that way. There we go. And that's why I intended to have a little extra path there, is just so once the priority path is in, then all's well. There you go. Easy peasy. But now, the test. I have a block section in here, don't I? Block sectioned. Yeah, see, I can have it block section just like that. Alright, there we go. Let's go ahead and test this baby. And you'll notice a very big improvement in my rides since then with this new Zephyrus. Let's go. You'll start to notice that the chain lift is a little bit odd in a sense. I mean, it's not necessarily odd, but it's odd in terms of how I usually build it. I mean, I've been learning. And here we go with the drop. You may also notice the chain lift does go a little bit far from where it originally was. But it's good news anyway, because I'll explain why later. And you can see now, oh, the curve is better. The curve here is much better. Then I start to go down with the helix. Excellent. And then I take a curve here. Oh, you can start to see it's getting a little longer than last time. Oh, and then look here, you think it's gonna go, but it makes the helix. Woo! See that? See how much better I am? You can now see how much better I am at this stuff. Oh, and then not to mention, we gotta add in the brakes, the block brake system again. Excellent. See how much better that was compared to the monster that I originally had? Much, much better. And good ratings, too. Very good ratings. I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing the whole prestige thing here. Then again, when it comes to all these other rides, I'm gonna have to open this baby up first. When it comes to all these other rides, let me go to park management for a sec and go to date opened, because these babies... Oh yeah, high spin still needs to be tested. I can take care of that. You guys already rode that. The Zephyrus actually has a lot of good ratings in terms of the prestige. I still need to add a couple of Q-Path stuff, and we're good to go. Other than that, though, that is it in terms of ride building, as far as the tracked rides go. Speak of the devil, I just had an idea of this. This wasn't in my original plan, but I actually don't want this rolling river. I do not want this river rapids at all. I have extra plans for this that could really have some big, smooth efforts here. So when I say this, I mean to say this, but I'm gonna have to do a quick bye Felicia on this one as well. I mean, we could add some extra space here for some more rides, but again, this is just gonna be a bunch of wasted space that can easily be replaced with a bunch of trees. Let's say we actually add them. Then that plateau up there, I don't know what I want to do with it. You guys tell me. Anyway, with this gone, that's a big goner. So that ultimately means a bunch of wasted time on the previous parts, as you can probably tell. But needless to say, that doesn't mean everything's gone, is it? It's not. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to, as far as things are concerned, I'm leaving that section empty for the most part in terms of its scenery, because I have plans. And I'll tell you what plans they are, but it also involves going through my flat rides. Now, because I'm running out of time, I can't do that this episode, but I have a lot of flat rides that could really use some rethinking, because when I went through all my flat rides originally, when these were being built, I went blind. I really didn't know what I was gonna be aiming for. Like, for example, there's a lot of rides in here that really I just look at them and I'm like, what the hell? Why did I pick these? For example, Swift Eagles, all the way over here. Why does it fit in the carnival area? And then if I go back all the way over, how about over here to the 360 Power? Why is this even a thing? And then over here with, what is this one? Is this a Coriolis? Why did I even add it? Why? All these questions about why did I even add them as a self-reflective tool. I mean, self-reflection is always good, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? You tell me. But anyway, we're not done yet, though. We are not done yet. I did make a promise to you all at the very beginning of this episode that we were going to spice up this park entrance with many different things. I've had somebody in I've had some people in previous, what is it? I've had some people in previous Telegram chats tell me I could easily just make this a little bit extra just by adding signage to the area. Like if I had like a planet sign or something along those lines. So like if I had theme signs, and if I stuck with a theme of, if I go to my scenery theme, Planet Coaster, which is what I've mostly been using lately, I have a Planet Coaster standing sign and a wall sign. So I could technically go in here. That's a standing sign. That's a standing sign. Hold on a minute. How is that working? Wall sign. Let's go ahead and add 2 of these to... Let's go ahead and add 2 of these to my park entrance. I have other plans for what I want to do with the signage. Miscellaneous signs. I need a custom editable sign for the front of that park. Because we named this park Jalen and Friends Park, and look at that here. It's not specifically on the entrance itself. We don't have it on the entrance. But what do I want to add to it that could make a lot of sense? Like, what could make it fit? Falling star? Spoked wheel? A lot of good signs here. Wings? Huh. I need editable... Wait, no. Editable signs are up here. I'm sorry. Editable signs. Let me just make it specific and go editable. And I am a bit questioned out in terms of this. So then if I look at this, I'm like... Let me see how well it fits. I'm going to start with a diamond one, and then work my way around. Oh, that looks like Vegas. Look at this here. The diamond sign here clearly looks like Vegas. Do I want Vegas on my signs? No. So what's the crest one look like? I could do better. I could definitely do better. What do we have here? A pennant? Pennant large? Ah, the ticket theme. I mean, I could go well with a ticket theme here, but there's plenty of other choices that I have here. I mean, there's vertical signs, but I hate my vertical signage. Let's go with this and see. Let's just edit it as is. So for this, I'm going to be doing this. Edit building with selected part. Edit that. Yep, that particular one. The custom text is going to be the very name of the park. J. Lynn and Friends Park. And Friends. Or just Jalen and Friends. Because it's basically Jalen and Friends Park anyways, I can't really fit a lot of whole text in there. And the whole full name "and" is going to reach that character limit, as you definitely saw right there. Now, how about the colors? Well, as you can tell, 3.6... what was it? 3.680C9... and 6BABD6 are the colors of my Falfy. Is that even readable? That is definitely not readable. Here, let me make the text completely black, like that. That's the text. That's definitely the text. So if I went back in here and be all like, let's make this black too. No, that's not gonna fit. How about gray? I need some level of gray to make this fit, and yeah, that should work. Now the signage is what I'm after. I was after the 3680C9 here, and then the 6BABD6 here. See that? That's what I was aiming for. That was what I was aiming for. That's that done. Now how about... No... Now take out editable and be like, King Coaster, hey, look at that. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this guest's theme, and just add add a king coaster right next to it, right here. Just get that out of the way, and who else? Who else? Here, get rid of the guest one. Get rid of this guest one. Edit building with selected part, just so I don't get rid of the building itself and make that mistake again. Gulpy! Gulpy Rex! Yeah. Now that's some better stuff now, is it? See? I'm getting better with stuff like this. Now, the other thing that curiosity strikes me as odd in this one is... Notice here how guests can trespass just by passing the park entrance? I have other plans for this. If I can find my bushes. Trees. Where's bushes? Bush. Bushes, there we go. So close out of this. I need your standard issue. I need your standard issue bush. Floral bushes. That should be easy enough. I mean, line bushes would be just as fine too, but I don't see any line bushes here. So the only thing I can really worry about is the white floral bush, which is a bit small for my liking. I could increase its size, but that's not how this one works. All I can do is make a line here, have that hook up like this. Seriously though, no one's gonna climb that amount of rocks. No one. So all I can really do is just stop. Based on that assumption, I'm gonna go ahead and just stop it at that point, because that's that particular area done. And then at the same time, we do the exact same thing over here if my scroll wheel can respond properly. We do the exact same thing over here. Just like that. It is going to be a little crooked. You can see that crooked spot right there. But that's okay. Everything should be fine and dandy. And this should at least cover the boundaries of our park. That should at least cover the boundaries. Now, the other thing that really strikes me as odd is why this path? I mean, it's a good variety of path, but I mean, we could always just replace it with the standard path that we have here, up to a point. And I say up to a point for a very good reason. Because, go down here for a sec. This is basically where the whole thing stops, and I cannot build any further than that, because it's not my park boundary. And that's where it stops completely. The beautiful thing about that is they have a tunnel there, they have I don't know, parking garage here they can have for their cars. That's all dependency. But what matters here is that we've, well, sort of spruced up this whole park area. I can also do the thing and say, while I did enjoy the idea of having, like, standing signs for Planet Coaster. Let's go back to the Planet Coaster theme thing here. You have the standing signs right here. You have a standing sign. I do not see... Like, I could safely say that that fits... I mean, I'll go ahead and add that. But where is the standing sign that could make it look like, say, a planet? Like a structure, almost. If I hit all for a minute... And let's say there's a planet-like structure. Let's say planet. Is there a structure? Is there a structure? Not signage. But, like, go to all for a minute. Like statues. Where's decorations? Close. All. Like, what do I put here that can make sense? Like, a physical planet structure that could fit the entire Planet Coaster theme as a whole. I don't see it in here. Unless I'm missing something and I'm not looking in the right places. Other than that, feel free to leave a comment regarding this particular section, and if there could be any improvements to it. As far as the rest is concerned, that's basically going to do it for today's episode of Planet Coaster. Next time we see each other, gonna check on our rides in terms of flat rides. I've got a lot of ideas for what I want to put in here that could replace some rides that maybe I was having a bad choice with. And you could probably like my other ideas better, we'll see. But nonetheless, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw, leave a like, post your comments, hit subscribe to the notification bell, share this video with your friends, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until next time.